Hello, it's Ryan from 2minutetennis.net, and in this video, I'm going to give you 3 simple tips to help you win more singles matches. First, use depth as your #1 weapon. The closer you can get the ball to the baseline, the deeper you can hit the ball into the court, the more likely you force an error from your opponent. And the easiest way to hit deeper is actually to lift the ball higher over the net. Rather than thinking of always trying to keep the ball super close to the net, which just, it ends up hitting the net and then you hit the ball short and they attack. The easiest way to actually get the ball deep is to hit the ball a little higher over the net than you think you should. When you hit the ball deep, a couple things happen. First, if your opponent, and this is so common in amateur tennis, if your opponent waits for the ball to bounce to take their racket back, what you're actually doing by making the ball bounce deep is you are delaying their take back. So you're actually forcing your opponent to keep preparing their racket late, and they will be so frustrated. Second, the longer you keep the ball in the air, the faster the ball gets to the opponent, because when the ball hits the ground, it slows down. So you can keep that faster speed for a longer amount of time and distance, and all of a sudden your opponent feels like you got this really fast, heavy ball when all you're doing is just hitting the ball a little higher over the net to make the ball land deeper. Next, this forces your opponent to have to hit the ball on the rise. See, most of your opponents would much rather hit the ball while it's peaking or while it's falling. That's just where most amateur players are comfortable striking the ball, in the ball's path. But not a lot of amateur players are super confident, especially your opponents, taking the ball off the rise. And so when you hit the ball close to the baseline, you're forcing them to do one of 2 things. Either take the ball off the rise, which they may not want to do, or you're going to force them to back up. And now the likelihood of them hitting the net increases, the likelihood of them hitting short increases, and then you get to come in and maybe try a drop shot because you just push them back. So many good things happen from hitting the ball deep. We learned this from Craig O'Shaughnessy. On the Pro Tour, the #1 way to force an error from the opponent is to hit the ball deep. So work on hitting the ball higher over the net so you can get that depth. Second, hit most of your shots cross court. When you are over here, hit the vast majority, and I'm going to say 9 times out of 10. Hit 9 times out of 10 those shots cross court. If you are over here and the ball comes to your backhand if you're right-handed, hit most of your shots this direction. Hitting cross court gives you a big advantage in many ways. First, it's so much easier to take a straight ball, and what I mean by straight is a ball going straight down the line, and make it crooked. Taking a straight ball and making it crooked is quite easy. And if the ball comes to you in a crooked way, meaning cross court, hitting the ball back cross court is very easy too. Hitting the ball cross court typically allows us to hit our target a lot more often. It's much more difficult to take a crooked ball and now straighten it out right up the line. Often we end up missing that ball into the alley, or we're over here, but we end up missing the line, and we end up hitting the ball too close to the center, and then we're scrambling back, and our opponent can either hit behind us, or if we don't scramble quickly enough, they can hit it into the open court for a winner. When you hit the ball cross court as well, it means that you're in position for your opponent's next shot. If I'm here and I hit the ball cross court, and my opponent is over here, where do I need to be for their next shot? I don't want to be directly in the middle, because I'm actually not bisecting my opponent's 2 best shots. I actually want to be right here. That is bisecting the down the line and the cross court. Your goal whenever you're positioning yourself for your opponent's shot is to be equidistant to both sides typically. And you're not going to be able to do that if you're in the middle. So when you are over here and you hit the ball cross court, you only have to go to here, which is a shorter distance than if you had hit the ball down the line and now your opponent can hit over here. You actually need to recover all the way to here by the time they contact the ball, which is very difficult. The idea is very simple. When you hit the ball cross court, you have a shorter distance to move in order to bisect your opponent's 2 best shots. And third, when your opponent comes to the net, resist the urge to hit a passing shot or lob. And more often than not, I want you to aim low down the middle, forcing them to hit a ball at their feet. I see it all the time. A player comes forward, they hit a good approach shot. This person is scrambling, and maybe not scrambling, but they're definitely not super comfortable. Let me say it that way. And all of a sudden, they see the opponent coming forward, and they think, I'm going to go for a pass. And they try to blast this passing shot, and the ball goes out. They try to lob, and the ball goes long. You don't need to avoid the volleyer. Let me say that again. When your opponent comes to the net, you don't need to avoid them. In fact, they're hoping you avoid them. They don't want to have to hit a volley. They would much rather have you hit the net or hit it out, hit it wide, or hit it long with a lob. If you hit it right to them and you hit it quite low, right? So you're just keeping the ball pretty low, and you can practice this in a lesson. You can drop hit this on the court the next time you go out to practice. When you hit the ball low to them, what do you think they say? Oh, good, or oh, darn it. Like, they're not happy that you gave them a low volley or a half volley. And then typically they hit a weaker ball. Then you can step inside the court. This is what I call the two-shot passing shot strategy. You're going to hit your passing shot on the second shot. Now the pass is so much easier because you're doing it while slightly inside the court, or you're moving forward on a weaker ball. So don't feel like you have to avoid your opponent when they come to the net. Just hit it low to them. And I know I say just. If I could do it perfectly, I'd be on the Pro Tour. I understand it's not easy. But I would much rather win the point this many times out of 10 than this many times out of 10. We're just increasing the likelihood that we win, which gives us a huge advantage. So when you are rallying, keep the ball deep by elevating the ball high enough that you get that depth. When you're rallying, keep the ball cross-court more often. Lower part of the net, you'll be more consistent, and when you recover, it'll be a shorter distance to bisect where your opponent can hit. And last, when your opponent comes to the net, don't feel like you have to avoid them. Just give them a lower volley that forces them to either screw up the volley or hit a weaker ball that you can come in and then hit the passing shot on your terms. You follow these 3 strategies, and there is no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Reidy from 2minutetennis.net. You got this.